Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Russ back again with another Madden 19 Career Mode episode. This is episode number 12, and we're facing the Bills in this episode. We're 8-3 on the season. This is week number 13. The 8-3. I don't believe it. The Bills are the opposite of that. They are 3-8, and they have just not been doing that great on the season, even though Josh Allen is actually second in the Rookie of the Year voting to me. Hell yeah. So we're in first for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I know I already said that. For the AFC side, I think a couple episodes ago, and I believe now we're only second or third in MVP. I think we're behind Le'Veon Bell, ironically, and that might be it. We might only be in second, but week 13, obviously we're coming up on the end of the season here, so we have to have a couple more good games. We put together some good ones. Last game was kind of a stinker. We did have 2 rushing touchdowns, and we did end up winning the game, of course, which is the ultimate thing. You know, we're 8-3 on the season. We're winning the game, even if we're throwing a lot of picks. You know, it is what it is. Honestly, man, we haven't had like a ton of really. Okay, wait, what the hell am I trying to say? Okay, we've had some games where we've thrown like 3 or 4 picks, but we haven't had a ton of games, or we've had games where we've thrown none and thrown like 4 touchdowns instead. We've just had those games where we've been really, really bad. But other than that, man, I mean, the season's been pretty good, other than the interceptions. But again, those have been kind of just in games where didn't really matter. We just threw like 3 or 4. But another rushing touchdown for us, man. That is, I think, our 4th or 5th on the season. We're pretty efficient running the ball. Even though we don't do it much, I think we average over 5 yards a carry. So, I mean, when we do run, we do it pretty well. But we start this game off 7-0. Obviously getting past some of the other shit I was just talking about because I was completely rambling. I thought I knew what the fuck I was talking about, but obviously I kind of got off topic. So my bad on that. Getting back into this game, like I said, we got the rushing touchdown, 2 rushes for 12 yards. They just do not, they don't care if I run the ball. They really don't. 65 speed, they're not scared. Tried to go to the end zone right there. Jump balls just don't work in franchise or career mode. I mean, I can't really trust my receivers to catch any of those, man. I mean, I've thrown it to Devontae Parker on those a bunch of times, and honestly, more often than not, it's usually picked. Right here, Kenyon Drake somehow, I don't know how the fuck the ghost did it, but he ends up rumbling 19 yards into the end zone. He catches it for about 9 or 10, and then just kind of, like I said, rumbles his way into the end zone for about 9 or 10 yards. Just stumbles his way there and gets into the end zone to make it 14. I think it was 14-0, and then the Bills end up putting some points on the board to make it 14-7. Like I said, Josh Allen, you know, he's second in the Offensive Rookie of the Year voting for a reason. I think there was an injury right there. I couldn't tell what team it was on. But I don't know. We'll see here in a second, I'm sure. But 3rd and 4, we're looking down the field. I'm looking at R1, and he ends up getting some separation. We end up throwing it, and I find Danny Amendola. He ends up making that catch at the 6-yard line. Usually I'll end up looking for Amendola on that point no matter what. He's really my only read. If I don't find him, pretty much screwed. But right there, we do find Kenny Stills for the touchdown on the easy slant. Buffalo, I think, had 2 injuries on that drive. I'm not sure who the first one was, but they end up losing Star Lutulele, who I believe is a decent D tackle anyway. Not horrible, probably not great, but, you know, probably like 80 overall, something like that. So if we want to run the ball and make it a little bit easier, right here we decide to run a screen, and usually a screen with the computer is horrible. But they end up sending pretty much everybody, so even with Amendola doing that little circle, it didn't really matter. We end up getting a decent bit of yards on that. Did not think we would, but we did. 1st and 10, looking down the field. We had Mike Gesicki. Unfortunately, we cannot get it off. As we do get sacked. 2nd and 14, we hand it off to Frank Gore, and he's short enough to get between the tackle and the end, apparently, but he ends up getting a couple extra yards off of that. Does not get any more than that, though. 3rd and 10, we find, I believe that's A.J. Derby, and he gets really, really close to a 1st down, but it is 4th and inches. We really don't have any choice in this game, so only up by 7 at this point. This is kind of a surprising game. I felt like we should easily win this game, and it felt like we were in control, but the Bills end up reeling off a couple of late scores, man. And that 4th and inches ends up being pretty huge as they tie the game to make it 21-21. So under 1 minute left, we have to come out with another late game win, man. I mean, this felt like we dominated and our defense just collapsed late. So now we have to put one drive together, which we have done all game. I have all the confidence in the world that we can do it. We're already in field goal range, so we can turn it over to Blair Walsh if we want to. Obviously, that's not the greatest thing in the world. We have 4 rushes for 40 yards with our quarterback, which is definitely not normal. So, I mean, Blair Walsh being really good in this simulation isn't normal either, but obviously normal things don't really happen in this series. But 21-21, we decided to go ahead and trust Blair Walsh after getting stuck on 4th and 1, and he does end up making it 24-21, 9 seconds left. The Bills cannot tie it, and a surprising shootout against the Bills. I mean, it wasn't really a shootout. Ends up being like 21-7. going late into the game. But giving up 2 scores late was huge, obviously. And, we moved the ball all game. But that's another win, man. I mean, are we 8-3 or 9-3 now? We're either 9-3 or 10-3, I think, at this point. But we just keep reeling off these wins, man. I mean, I don't think we've had the toughest schedule. I mean, the teams we've gone against haven't had great records, but I mean, they're not shabby teams as far as the actual team goes. I mean, the Colts, that's a good team. The Bills, they're whatever, but they still fucking made it close, and we played a lot of good teams this season. But this is a good one, man. We end up winning, of course, but it felt like we dominated all game, even though we only ended up winning by 3. Again, Josh Allen, he had a good game. The 2 Rookie of the Year candidates are 1 and 2 in the AFC. Having a pretty good game, man. 12 for 13. Only had to throw 13 times, and we completed 12 of them, so that's pretty damn good. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, man. Be sure to look out for the next one, and as always, I'm out. Peace.